Hello. In this presentation, I will share some scientific research findings about the technology and emotional intelligence. Let's start. When we say emotions, we generally think about a relationship between humans, human to human kind of thing. But we have also emotions towards objects, we have emotions towards the brands, and we have emotions towards the organizations. So when I say Greenpeace, or when you see the logo of your previous company, or when you see the logo of your university you graduated years ago, most probably it will trigger something inside you and you will have a positive or negative feelings inside. And another dilemma on emotions is whether to keep the emotions inside or reflecting it to out. And controlling emotions is affecting our success in life or success at work is a big question. And there are so many researchers try to find out the answer. I will share some of them. The first one is Dale Carnegie training. And they did a study in 2016 asking this question: what is the source of success to a sample of more than 10,000 people? And they found out that our success sources from our relationships, and your knowledge and skills only affecting your success with a percentage of 15, which is rather high when you compare with the relations. So when you say, I'm successful at work, or when you see someone, define someone as successful at work, the reason you see these people as successful is because of their relationships they built with their colleagues, with their managers, and with their employees. Another study supporting us on this perspective is a Harvard University study which lasted 75 years, started in 1939 and ended in 2016 with a sample of 268 people. And they asked a simple question to themselves: what makes a good life? And it took them 75 years to get the answer. And the answer they found is simple, but very attractive. They say good relationships keep us happier and healthier. It's not only related to your happiness, also it affects your health status. Another study, very well-known study from Stanford University, Professor Walter Mitchell made this in 1960. First time he made this, afterwards lots of different versions made, and they received the same results, almost the same results. And again, it took 14 years for Professor Mitchell to get the results. He studied with 5-year-old kids, and he offered a marshmallow to these kids and asked them to wait for the second one as a reward. And he compared the success in their lives and at school for 14 years till they graduate from the high school. And these are the results after 14 years. The children who waited for the second one as a reward, in other words, who controlled their emotions for a time, are better on verbal and numerical ability tests, better at planning activities, academically and socially more competent, concentrate on issues and handling stress better than the children who ate the marshmallow right away. So when you talk about emotions, it's linked with our emotional intelligence, and shortly we define it as EQ. It's getting a hotter topic each year, and we are talking about emotional intelligence in the business context very frequently. Before sharing the model we used in the business from Daniel Goleman, I want to share the components of the emotion. There are 3 components of emotion. The first one is the physiological changes in our body. So when you have a strong feeling, most probably your body heat will increase. You may have sweat or wet palms. trembling hands, or your leg may be trembling, and these are some examples for your physiological changes. The second component is behavioral response. As a result of this strong feeling, you may choose to run away, you may choose to make some gestures or reflexes to get rid of a bee, for example, because you're afraid it can bite you. And the third component is the subjective experience, and this is the expression of our emotions in different ways, like anger, disgust, fear, surprise, sadness, and joy. To define emotional intelligence, we are using two domains. The first domain is directly related to you personally, and you have to recognize, understand, manage your own emotions first, and this kind of a precondition to recognize, understand, and influence others' emotions. So without understanding your emotions, you cannot understand others' emotions. And this is exactly the same as Daniel Goleman uses in his model. And he defined 4 stages, and every stage is a precondition for the next stage. So the first stage, self-awareness, is a must to manage yourself. So if you're successful on stage 1 and 2, which is related to you directly, it will be possible to move on to stage 3 and 4, which are related to the social context, the other people. And at this point, we need to define the benefits of knowing your emotions. And the best definition for explaining the benefits is, I think, this principle of psychology. It says, your thoughts trigger your emotions, and your emotions triggers your behaviors. So if you have an idea about your emotions, this will give you a chance to move back to your thoughts, and it will be easy for you to understand what kind of thoughts trigger your emotions. And if you know about your emotions, this will give you a chance to understand your possible behaviors. And you can use this principle at work environment if you are a manager, and by communicating and observing your employees, you can understand what they feel, and to understand what they think, you have to communicate and observe the behaviors. And the moment you understood about their thoughts, this will give you a chance to understand how they feel and what kind of behaviors will be possible in the future. So it is a must for the managers or the leaders to understand what they feel, what the employees feel, and what they think in order to shape their behaviors in the desired way. And to understand emotions, we need to go deeper to our brain. And we know that there are 3 layers in our brain. The outer layer is neocortex, and neocortex is the rational part of logical part of our brain. And every kind of information is uploaded here from your birth. Your parents, your teachers, your people living in the same house, your elderly people, your friends, everybody is sharing some information, and every kind of shared information will be uploaded here in this neocortex. It's a kind of to-dos and not to-dos in life. And below neocortex, there is the limbic system. This is the emotional part of our brain. And inside our limbic system, there is a very small organ called amygdala. And amygdala is responsible from your survival. And in case of danger, it takes the control to keep you alive. And it's the center of fear. And because you don't have time to think about, to analyze the situation, you shouldn't lose time. It cuts the link between limbic system and the neocortex, takes the control and gives you orders in order to survive. And below limbic system, we have the reptilian brain, which is the center of our instincts. And for example, heartbeat, your balance, digestive system, eye blinking, everything is controlled from your reptilian brain. At this point, I want to share an information and discuss about one thing about our decisions. We know that an average adult makes about 35,000 decisions a day. This includes every kind of decision as to wake up or continue sleeping some more, to drink coffee or tea, to wear a red shirt or a blue shirt. Every kind of decision is inside this 35,000. Which part of our brain dominates our decisions in our daily lives? It is interesting. Normally, I would say it's neocortex because it's the rational part, to-dos and not to-dos, but research find a different answer to this question. It is 10% to 90%, and our limbic system or our emotions dominates our daily decisions, which is interesting. And to understand deeply about our emotions, we need to know that we have around 86 billion neurons in our brain, and these neurons are controlling our hormones and enzymes in our body. And our body is occupied by chemical. Around 70% of our body is formed from this chemical. And inside this chemical, we have different combinations of the hormones and enzymes. And it creates our mood, emotional mood. For example, if the level of serotonin is high, you may feel happy. If it is low, together with the dopamine, it causes you feel depressed. Or if the level of cortisol or epinephrine goes high, it may cause you to feel stress. So here comes the question at this point. This is for the real environment. What if we experience everything in the digital environment? Will there be a change in the levels of these hormones and enzymes and our emotional mood? So there are some research at this point. I will share some research with you comparing the digital environment and the real environment. And before doing that, I want to share a definition for digital emotions. Emotions which are influenced, composed, or expressed through digital technology are called digital emotions. And these are very similar to these ones 4,000 years ago. We were using these icons and to define our thoughts and emotions. And the first scientific research I will share is sharing the level of oxytocin. And oxytocin, I need to explain it, this hormone as the relationship hormone. It's the trust hormone, called as the trust hormone between people. So when you're chatting with your mother, with your close friend, your oxytocin level goes high. When you kiss a baby, your oxytocin level goes high. And they compare two groups of people. The first group of people uses their smartphones and surfs in the internet by using different social media platforms. And they measured their oxytocin levels. And they also measured the oxytocin levels of the people who are chatting in the real environment. And the result is interesting. They saw that the oxytocin level doesn't change. Almost the same level of oxytocin is emitted in the social environment and the digital environment. And Mood Metric is a company. They measured the energy level of the teachers in the real environment and in the digital environment. And they saw that the energy level of the teachers in the classroom interacting face-to-face with the students have more energy levels, which affects the outcome of the training or the education in a positive way. We can say that digital environment in this case is outcome is a bit negative when you compare with the real environment. And at this research, two groups of people are compared. The first group is formed of people between the ages of 18 to 24, and the second group is over the age of 70. And we know that these people between the ages 18 to 24 spend more time on the digital environment. And this is why they feel 4 times more lonely when they are compared with the 70 plus people, which is a negative effect of the digital environment, using digital environment. And this is another question to be answered in the research. We know that the real emotions are contagious. So when you see someone sad, most probably this sad person's feelings may affect you, and you may feel sad after a while. Or when you feel someone laughing around you, after a while you feel like you will laugh. And this is for the real environment. So what if we compare these feelings, these emotions in the digital environment? And this research may give us an idea. They compared Facebook and Twitter, the people who received more likes at Facebook or more retweets at Twitter, their strength of emotion increases. So the more likes means you feel stronger, the more the retweets makes you feel stronger. And this is a kind of showing that digital emotions are also contagious. How can we recognize our own emotions or someone's emotions? So there are 3 ways here. The first way to understand our emotions is self-assessment. And in the self-assessment, there's no cost except the time you spend for yourself, and the objectivity level is rather low, and we can say totally subjective. And in this self-assessment, you need to ask some questions to yourself, like what do I feel and why I'm feeling in this way. So it's kind of self-talk, and you try to understand, analyze yourself. The second method you can use is psychometric assessment, and at this option, you need to pay for some valid instruments and valid tools, and the objectivity is higher than the self-assessment. And the third method is the technology-based assessment, which has more objectivity and a bit costly, because most in this option, companies make this choice to understand the employees' emotions. It's not an individual decision because of its cost. I want to share some more details about technology-based assessment, and we divide these techniques into 2 parts. The first part is distance sensing, and the second part is up-close sensing. The distance sensing, we are focusing on the face, voice, posture, gestures, movement, and behavior of the person to understand what they feel. And the second option, up-close sensing, we focus on the skin, pupillary, respiration, heart rate, pulse, temperature, and blood pressure of the person to understand what they feel. And here are some pictures of these techniques. This is for facial expressions, and facial recognition software programs may help you to understand the emotions as the way you saw in the picture. And the vocal inflection changes may give you an idea about whether a person is tensed or not. And you can use some gadgets on different parts of your body to understand muscle tension, and this will help you to understand someone's emotions. And also heart rate variability may give you a chance about the emotions. And there are also some electronic instruments you may swallow And while this small pill-like gadget flows inside your blood vessels, it may emit signals about your the levels of the hormone and enzymes, so that they can track your health status. And also this digital tattoo functions in the same way, or the electronical instrument inside your teeth implement in your teeth may function in the same way. There are two main methods to measure the brain activity. The first method is to measure the blood flow. This technique is called fMRI. And the second technique is qEEG, which focuses on the brain waves. And when you use the fMRI technique, you receive this kind of brain images in the end. And by looking at the colors, you can understand which part of your brain is active, and combining this with the functions of the neurons on that part, you can understand the emotional mood of the person. And the activity of the brain may give you an idea about the feelings. And qEEG is focusing on the 5 different brain waves emitted by our brain. And by measuring these brain waves, we can have similar images as you see in the slide. And looking at the colors, different colors, may give you a clue about whether someone is under depression or feeling anxiety or experiencing a different kind of psychological disorder. And you can do this for the whole body, and this will reflect your emotional mood, like anger, fear, happiness, or surprise. Mood Metric company is using these two techniques in a different way. They design these rings, and they offer companies to use these rings for their employees. And you can use a dashboard to understand what's going on individually as for your employees, or department-based or organization-based. You can understand whether the emotions going down or up. And you can have a clue about the employee motivation, employee engagement levels, and you can do something to increase the motivation, or you can take some precautions by looking at this results. And the accuracy level is rather high, it's 83%. So as a conclusion, in this short video, I tried to share some recent findings, research findings about emotions in the digital environment. And we have some positive and some negative results about social media and technology. And we cannot say that using technology too much is bad. We cannot say that social media affects our life in a negative way. So there is a yin-yang issue here. You have to see both sides. And the most critical thing about you is managing yourself and decide the length of time you will spend on technology and how you can make the use of technology or social media for the best, for your benefits. So as a result, we can say discipline equals freedom. And if you have any questions related to this subject, you can contact me by using my email, and I'll be happy to contact with you and share my comments. And I'm curious to listen to your comments as well. So bye for now, and hope you enjoyed.